So this was like your first major motion picture, and you're working with Dustin Hoffman, Tom Cruise, Barry Levinson is directing. What was that experience like? Because Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise and Barry Levinson and all pretty much made impactful movies by that point. Like they were big names, and you're right there with them now.
Well, it was extraordinary, and I was so moved by the experience. I remember after I wrapped, going back to the hotel and calling my parents and just sobbing. And you know, they appreciated that they were glad I was working, you know, but they didn't quite couldn't quite understand why it was such a big deal to me. By the time I shot that, I shot it when I was 38, but I turned 39 shortly after that, which is pretty old to get your first big
Mhm,
movie, you know.
mhm.
And but to work at that level was incredible. And I was a huge fan of all three of them. I loved Barry Levinson movies, all the, you know, the Diner trilogy. And then I really loved Avalon, that baseball movie. I just thought
Yeah,
at the time I remember seeing it, I kept saying, this is real surrealism. People think it's Salvador Dali, but this is a dream. This is like a dream, and he's made it real. And it was so impactful to me. In fact, we watched it fairly recently and it really held up. It was just as moving to me as ever, and
yeah.
sad, and
That's
about
amazing.
dreams. So I was a huge fan. So yes, to work with him, and he was so sweet. He didn't say anything to me really. He was very supportive. I mean, he smiled, and then at one point he came over, and whispered in my ear, and he said, "You're doing great, kid." You know, that was it. And Dustin Hoffman was wild man on campus. I mean, I think he was probably trying to loosen me up. He knew I'd done a lot of stage, but he also knew I hadn't done a lot of movies, and I had asked for the camera crew frequently will have a diaper on set because it's the fabric's so smooth to clean the lenses and things. I mean, now they probably have something fancier, but back then they used to use diapers. And I was the mother of six kids, and I said, "Oh my God, what a great idea!" She probably has changed a million diapers, has a lot of diapers around. Maybe I would have one, and I would even be either changing a diaper or drying the dishes or dusting or using it. So I wanted to come to the door with this prop in my hand to have this prior event. So they gave it to me. Well, Dustin got it away from me on one of the breaks, and he's running around and chasing me with it and popping me on the butt. I mean, just so cute and fun. But, you know, he was loosening me up. And
Yeah,
I think it was very conscious on his part. And he was wonderful with Tom Cruise too. One of my favorite stories is looking out the window of my little clapboard house. I could see the back of Tom Cruise's, you know, his back. And of course, he's in good shape. I mean, and he would work out in the morning before we got picked up at 5 o'clock. And at night when he got back, I mean, he has worked hard for that career. He's
yeah.
not an accidental star by any means, but he was standing there, and you could see Dustin's little arms going like this, you know, behind his back. So what was I going to say? Oh yeah, I didn't want to wear any makeup, and I wanted to just have my hair in a ponytail. I had this vision of the character, which is pretty, you know, for someone who hasn't done that much. But I really wanted to do her real. I had been up to Big Sur, and we had hiked and we had found the cabin where they had raised the first family of Big Sur, 12 kids in this little tiny cabin. And I said to my husband, man, they never do the real deal. This woman raised 12 kids in this little cabin, you know, come on. And so I had it in my mind that I wanted to play a pioneer woman. And then lo and behold, got this audition, and the description was literally pioneer woman. And
Wow.
I went in with no makeup to audition, and that's the way I wanted to play it. And so I went up to the guy that, you know, Tom Cruise makeup person, and I said, you know, I'd like to do it without makeup. And he said, "Abracadabra, you're done," and let me do it. And
Amazing.
I don't know, I felt really good about that. And you know, my house dress, I'm very familiar with women who, you know, wear those house dresses around the house and don't have time for makeup and hair, and just, you know, raising those kids and just trying to survive. So they let me do what I came to do, and I was very appreciative. And then we had some improvisation, and that I sang a little song that my husband's family sings. And so I don't know, it's just a fabulous experience. It really was. And I had a reunion a couple of years ago with those kids. And they're
Oh,
all
no,
grown
that's
up and
amazing.
successful. And they took the money that they earned in residuals and invested in a business that they run. And they do very well. And so we went out to the farmhouse and met. And oh, I was so moved by it.
Mom.
That's right, because they were all real
That's right.
siblings. Yeah.
That is amazing. That is an amazing story. You can't find that on IMDb. With that being said, you mentioned working with those great iconic actors, and of course Levingston, working with him, and they've all went on to do very good things. But a personal friend of the show, the AD on that film was Dave McGifford, and I mean he is a friend's friend of the show. Such a great guy. Did you get to work with him directly at all on Rain Man?
Well, he was there. I did. Unfortunately, he was pretty busy. You know, the ADs are in the hot seat all the time.
Yes.
And his whole team is in the hot seat. I mean, so sadly, I can't say that I got to know him, but it was a fabulous team, which is a great compliment to him because, I mean, they were cooking. They were cooking. And in fact, there was a shot of, you know how sometimes in clouds, the sun will come through the clouds and it looks like God is just going through the clouds, you know, those kind of days.
Yes.
Well, we looked out the window and there was one of the most beautiful, it's in the movie too, this beautiful thing. Well, the DP wanted to get it. And I mean, they moved. Next thing you know, there's a crew, they're in the car, they drive down the road, they shoot Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman in their car, and that they got that shot, and then they come back. We still finished the day. We still finished the day. And so my compliments to him, give him my regards. That I just felt that they were extremely on it, and they were traveling, and I think there were some reshoots, and they still got it done.
I liked the family in the farm where they had to knock on the door and get him in to watch his TV program before he freaked. Those kids, there were 6 little kids there. That was, well, you can imagine, you know, trying to get them all to focus and stay with it. And Dustin's doing what he's doing, which is the kids are like, you know, what? And Tom Cruise is there, P.S. So it was interesting and sweet, very sweet.
They were terrific.
Why don't you subscribe? It'll last longer.